Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be giving a bookish and life update. Long time no see. I know it has been a minute since I posted a new video, so I thought it was time for me to come on here and kind of let you all know where I've been, what's been going on in my life, let you know what I've been reading, what I've been hauling, and just kind of what's going on in general. If I'm being honest, this year has really been the year that I think my mind is becoming made up about stepping away from social media more. Over the last couple years, I have been wrestling with this, and I know you all have had kind of a front seat to that because I do mention it from time to time. But I do think this is like the year that it's actually coming into play. At the beginning of this year, I knew that I didn't want to post as much content, but then because habits are habits and they're so easy to fall back into, I did start to create more content again, and I felt really burnt out. And I think that sometimes I have to step back and see, is this burnout or is this just my time to step away? And while this is not a departure video or a see you later video, this is just a video to tell you where I am, where my heart is, what my mind is thinking about, what's been going on in my life, and to let you know that you may or may not see content from me in the future. I don't want to give a definitive answer because I'm indecisive, and I just want to let you know what's going on because you all have chosen to invest in my life, and I don't know why, but I appreciate it so much. I appreciate all of you who have been here on this journey with me, whether you've just joined recently or you've been here since 5 years ago or even further back than that before I even started my channel. You all are here because you've invested in my life, you care about me, you enjoy the book recommendations I give or the reviews I give, or for whatever reason you're here, and I appreciate and thank you so much for that. So I did just want to issue an update so you all kind of knew where I stood. So overall, creating content just is not filling my cup in the same way that it used to. It has become more of a chore to sit down and film, to want to edit, or to want to do anything, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing going on that has brought me to this moment, except that this may just be my time to step away from this a little bit more, which again is not new to you all who've been here because I've said this on and off multiple times, but it takes me time to figure out if this is burnout or more along the lines of something serious. So I say all that to say, let me tell you what I have been up to this year. So a couple of little fun random things that I've been up to this year. Number one, I have learned that I really like matcha. So I have tried matcha over the past couple of years and it's been fine, but it wasn't until I started making it at home that I really fell in love with it. So I have probably more matcha now than I have coffee or tea or anything else, but not more than I have water because that's mostly what I drink. But I love making it at home matcha. It's way better than Starbucks. Honestly, I don't really know. I think it's probably the simple syrup that Starbucks puts in their matcha, but all I need is matcha, water, oat milk, honey and cinnamon, and I'm golden. Another thing that I have done a little bit of this year, or that I've been learning, is embroidery. So one of my projects that I did was I completed these little embroidery rings. They're frames that I used to put pictures of me and some of my besties in. I actually gifted them to my besties when we had our girls trip a month ago, and this is the one that I made for myself. Each one has our favorite picture from our girls trip last year in it, and I just really enjoyed doing this for people that I love. My favorite types of gifts are ones that are sentimental and handmade, and so I was glad to be able to learn a new craft and still use my creativity in this way and then gift it to friends. Speaking of my girls trip, I did post a very short vlog of that trip. We had all talked about potentially vlogging, and then nobody ended up really feeling like vlogging, so that's really all the content that came out of that trip. But that was such a good time, and hopefully we will all be seeing each other again soon. I also recently took a vacation with my husband to Savannah, Georgia, and this will be the first year in at least the past 3 years that I haven't vlogged our vacation. But if you want to see pictures from that, you can go over to my Instagram. It is @abooklikeyou, and check out the pictures there. I am still going to be keeping some book reviews and updates posted over there. I don't think I'll disappear as much there as I will here. So if you do want to keep up with me a little bit better, that's probably the place to go. I've also been keeping up with my reading journal. This is just a very basic novel companion from Little Inkling Designs, and I've just really enjoyed keeping up with the little reading challenges throughout it. I've also enjoyed keeping up with what books I want to read each month, as well as new releases and any books that I haul, which I am going to haul some books in a little bit here too, and also just keeping up with reading stats. That has been fun. From time to time, I will do a bullet journal or a reading journal, and this year it has just been really nice for me to have everything kind of already laid out for me. I don't know that I'm going to continue this into the new year, and that's just because nowadays what I'm reading more of is more for self versus content. And you may think, Keisha, why would you even just read for content? But I think once you get in the habit of creating content, yes, I'm still reading what I want to read, but I'm also reading for the sake of creating content. And since I'm not doing that as much anymore, I'm not even really creating TBRs as much, and I'm just picking up what I want to read in the moment, which has been super nice. So that's another thing that I've been doing. I've also been reading a lot on my Kindle. I have become quite the Kindle girly this year. Believe it or not, I never thought I would say that. I spend so much time on my phone and on my computer at work, so why would I want to spend more time on an electronic device? Who knows? But this thing has been one of my favorite companions this year. I'll just say that. It's sometimes a lot easier to read with than opening a book, but I still like to buy the books to have trophy copies for when I finish them. Another thing that I have been doing more of is just spending time with my husband, because believe it or not, when you're a content creator and when you have a job and when you do all these different things and hobbies, sometimes that takes away time from your loved ones. And so I have really been intentional about spending more time with my husband over the last year-ish anyways, which again sounds like a silly thing, but it's been something that's so life-giving and just joyful to reconnect with him like that. And I've also been connecting deeper with God as well, and trying to spend more time with people in my close proximity. So those are a few things that I have been doing in my day-to-day life, things you all have not really seen a lot of. But now I want to talk about books, because I know that's a lot of the reason why you all are here. So I'm going to talk to you about what I'm currently reading, some of my recent reads, what my favorite books are that I've read so far this year. I'll do a little bit of a book haul. I want to talk about books that I had video plans for, but they may not see the light of day. So just in case they don't, I'm going to tell you about them. And then I'll end off by telling you some books that I'm looking forward to reading soon. So let's begin. First and foremost, I am currently reading on my Kindle. As previously mentioned, this is my favorite companion right now. I'm currently reading Dreams Lie Beneath by Rebecca Ross. Now, I've never read anything by Rebecca Ross before. I know she is very well known for her Divine Rivals duology, but this book particularly piqued my interest because I was asking, of all people, ChatGPT, all of you lovely booktubers, bookstagrammers, and readers out there that I could have asked, and I asked ChatGPT. It's fine. So I asked ChatGPT to recommend me some books that had similar vibes and similar things to Belladonna and Den of Liars, which I will talk about Den of Liars a little bit later in this video, but I wanted something with some of the same elements and same vibes, and I was recommended Dreams Lie Beneath. And I read the synopsis and realized I was pretty interested in the book, so I am about 31 or 34% of the way through right now. And I'm liking it fine. If you've been here a while, you know that I'm not a huge fantasy reader, and it does sometimes take me a little bit to get into it. So this isn't a new favorite, I don't think, but I'm enjoying reading it. I'm also currently reading in the Psalms in the Bible, and if I had my phone instead of recording on it, I could tell you where I am, but I'm pretty sure I'm on Psalm 24 or 25, and I've just been reading through that. Actually, I'm probably further because I read this morning. I've been reading on the Bible app on my phone, which ironically enough, I've not had downloaded on my phone since 2019 because I didn't want to use my phone to read my Bible, but lo and behold, I found that I will read it more if it's right there. So that's what I've been reading through. And this is actually a really good segue into my other recent reads, because the reason I'm reading through the Psalms is because of a book that I just recently finished and I absolutely loved it. And I'm not going to say hopefully too much about it because I want you to try to read it if you have time. And that is The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunswald. Mrs. Kipp loves the Psalms, and that is why I'm reading the Psalms right now. But this is my Revive book club pick for the month of May. Revive is my Christian book club that I host bi-monthly, and this month Bethany and Jules are joining me for a discussion which takes place this coming Thursday, May 29th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you think there's any way possible that you can pick up and read this book before then, I highly encourage you to do so and join our discussion, because let me just tell y'all, we're starting this out by me telling you that this book has just made my favorite book of the year so far. So this is a beautiful Christian fiction story about this woman named Clara Kipp. She is at the end of her life, and she admits herself into this care facility because she knows that she is dying soon. She's been diagnosed with cancer, and so she enters into this place, and she's a little bit sad because this isn't exactly where she wanted to end up, but she knows that God has a mission for her wherever she is. And just seeing the way that she loves other people in her life and the way that she lives her life is such an encouragement to me. And she has these 2 boxes of journals that she brings in to the care facility with her, and they tell a little bit about her past and things that she did growing up and a little bit about her story. And you get flashbacks to parts of that throughout this as well. But the kicker here is we also have another character in this story named Aiden, and Aiden works at the Kansas City Star. She's one of the newer reporters, and she isn't really looked at as a great writer yet, and so she's trying to really prove herself. She makes a bold move to go above her editor and talk to the main guy above everything, and kind of gets knocked down a few steps. And so now she's put to the task of writing Mrs. Kipp's obituary, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Mrs. Kipp really shows Aiden a lot about life, a lot about living, a lot about love, and it is so, so good. This book, at the last hour, I was just sobbing uncontrollably on and off for forever. It was so good. There's so many moments in this book that I laughed, that I smiled, that I was teary-eyed. It's such a wholesome story. It has so many great messages and so many great quotes. So I highly encourage you to pick this one up. It came out of left field for me. I knew that a lot of people had really enjoyed it and said that it was a really good book, but sometimes you just don't know if you can trust people or not, because I've had books that are like that haven't been a hit for me. But I will tell you all that I'm so glad that I read this, and it is my current favorite book of 2025. Now, other favorite books that I read this year that I just really quickly would like to touch on. The one that Mrs. Kipp just knocked out of first place was The Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. But honestly, this is still right up there with it. I read this book in January and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is so good. I do have a vlog. I'll link it down below just in case you missed it and you want to see me sob uncontrollably and ugly about this book. But this is such a good story. It is a story about a father and his love for his daughter. It's a story about survival. It's a story about grace and forgiveness, and it is so incredibly good. Another favorite book that I've read this year is Tea with Elephants by Robin Jones Gunn. This is a great friendship story. You don't see a lot of those, I feel like, nowadays, at least not ones that I feel like are healthy all the way around. This is a Christian fiction book, and Robin Jones Gunn, if you grew up with the Christie series, she is the same author of that book. I think it's Christy Miller. I never read those, but everybody seems to love those, and I can see why. I definitely want to read more from this author. This is her first in the Suitcase Sisters series, and this book follows Fern and Lily, and they met at this church camp, or maybe it was a conference. Either way, it was something in relation to that, and they became best friends, and they've been long-distance besties, and now they are going on an African safari together, which is something they've always wanted to do, but they are carrying a little bit of baggage with them along the way. Again, seeing these girls' friendship and how they knew how to deal with each other, knew how to deal with each other's junk, and knew how to support each other and love each other was so incredibly refreshing to read, because I don't feel like you see a lot of that. And then also just the setting of Africa was so beautifully written. The imagery was top notch. And I looked up a lot of places that were mentioned in this book because it was almost like reading a travel magazine where you want to see all the places. So it was so, so good. I'm so glad I got to read this with a friend too, because that made the experience even better. But I highly recommend checking out Tea with Elephants. And the next book I want to talk about is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This is my first Catherine Center book, and I had no idea this was going to be a 5-star, y'all. I had no idea that I was going to love her so much. I know she's a popular author, but I have just been really terrified to try her out for whatever reason. I have another book of hers on my shelf. It is called What You Wish For, and that's one of her more backlist, I think, less rom-com-y books. This one is more rom-com-y, and it is following this girl who is this guy's bodyguard, basically. He's not the bodyguard, she is. So the main character, her name is Hannah, and she works for this company that helps keep people safe. A la bodyguard. Bodyguarding, I guess. So she ends up having to guard Jack Stapleton, who is this famous movie star, because he has this stalker. But Jack is going home to his family because his mom is sick, and he doesn't want to bring this girl home as his bodyguard because that's embarrassing. So she's going to be his fake girlfriend. And all the chaos ensues from there, and it is such a funny story. I ended up going back and highlighting quite a bit of this and tabbing it up, which again, I also did that in Tea with Elephants. I didn't do it in the other couple books, but I do have some highlights on my Kindle from Mrs. Kip. Anyways, because even though I have the physical book, I'm reading on my Kindle, but that's neither here nor there. I loved this book. There were so many, like if I flip through, I don't know if you all will be able to see, but there are so many highlights and tabs in this because I thought this was such a good story. And if it wouldn't have ended the way that it did, I might have been a little upset because there were some points where I was like, what is going on? But when I tell you the end of this gave me whiplash, there was so much going on. It was so fast paced. There ended up being like a mystery thing that happened. There was like a twist. It was just so good. And I know this is hit or miss for people, but I think you should definitely give it a try. And the last book that is one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year is Den of Liars by Jessica S. Olson. I read her book, A Forgery of Roses, a year or two ago, and I did enjoy that one. I gave it 4 stars. So I really wanted to read Den of Liars, but I'm not gonna lie, this cover terrified me a little bit with the cards on it because I don't like to read things about like tarot or certain types of magic or witchcraft, and so I didn't really want to read it if it was going to deal with that. However, I will be the one to tell you it does not deal with that. It does deal with magical dice in a casino, and this book was such a wild ride. It's not by any stretch of the means, I don't want to say it's not a clean book. It is YA, so it's clean in regards to like no sexual content, but there is some cursing, so just be aware of that. And this is like some type of, there's magic and there's some darker themes, but I felt like this was a safe book for me, and it ended up being so good. So it follows this girl who is friends with the thief. There are these 2 brothers, they're the devious brothers, and she's friends with a thief. The other one is the liar. And she thieves with him. She was actually taken by him as a child, and her heart was bonded to his, so they share a heart now. And she is ending up going into the liar's territory for the liar's dice tournament. She's going to compete in that to try to figure out where this moon shard is, because her and the thief need to get the moon shard in order for her to be separated from him and him not to have to rely on her heart. Kind of that thing. But the liar, y'all, I don't know what to compare this book to because it's not comparable to really anything that I can think of, but I love the tension between this girl and the liar. It is so good. It's just, you need to read it, okay? I almost want to say it's like Belladonna with like Signet and Death, but I don't want to go that far. It's not that far, but it's close. Okay, so I'll just say that. And then also the imagery and the setting of this casino with the magical dice that store these lies, reveal people's secrets. It is such a good book. I'm not selling it super well right now. I did write a review for it on Goodreads and Instagram, wherever you can find it. Check that out because I ate this book up, y'all. And it's the first book in a series. That next book's probably not going to see the light of day till next year, so I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but I highly recommend. Again, I'm not a fantasy girl, but this is more of a in real life. It's not magical realism. It's not pitched as magical realism. It is still pitched as fantasy, but to me, it does lean more on that side of this takes place in the real world and it has magical elements. So if that's your vibe, check this one out. Okay, now I'm going to move into the book haul, and I'm just going to speed through these pretty quickly because I can already tell I've been talking for a long time. So these are not all the books that I've hauled over the past couple months, but these have been some that I've picked up recently that I wanted to share. One of them is Respectable Sins by Jerry Bridges. This is a book about the sins that we tolerate, essentially. The sins that maybe we don't bring to light as often. A lot of times we want to talk about the quote-unquote big sins, but there are sins, smaller, they're all the same to God, but smaller sins in life that maybe we don't recognize as much, and he is going to draw those out. And I'm really excited to read this. I think it's going to be really good. There is a large portion of this book that has discussion questions, and I am hoping to read this with a friend and be able to discuss with her. So I'm really excited to have this. I've been really intrigued by it for quite a while. I also recently got After the Ocean by Lauren E. Rico. I don't know a ton about this book, but somebody posted a review of it, and I've not really heard anybody else talk about it, but this one person made me super intrigued by it. It says, how do you find your way back when you've left yourself behind? Filled with emotion and intrigue, in this compelling novel, a painful, unsolved mystery from one woman's past resurfaces years later and sends her on a mission that will impact her family in ways they never could have expected. So I know that this has some talk about like social injustices and things of that sort, but also it is following a girl and her husband that they were married, and then 48 hours after, while they're on their honeymoon, her husband vanishes, and I think years later she ends up finding somebody that looks, is it that she finds up, there's so many books that sound so similar, or movies, that I don't know if this is where she finds someone that looks like him. So when a cryptic caller claims the unthinkable that Paul is alive, Emily returns to Puerto Rico in search of the truth. So there's more to it than that, but I'm very intrigued by it. I think it's going to be like a slow burn mystery, and I'm here for it. The next books that I got were all when I was on my vacation a couple weeks ago. So I got How to Talk to Your Succulent by Zoe Persico. My friend Gwen read this and it looked so cute, so I knew I had to pick it up. And little did I know, this author has written a lot of children's books that I actually read when I was a children's librarian. So I'm excited to revisit her in a middle grade novel. And this one is following a girl who learns to talk to this succulent, and it deals a lot with grief. Then I picked up Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. There are a couple reasons why I wanted to read this one. Number one is because I've had friends that have read it and really enjoyed it. Number two, there's a Netflix adaptation coming out soon. And number three, I could not resist with this cover and these sprayed edges. I knew that I had to get it. Well, they're also stenciled. They're not just sprayed, but there's fish, and then there's like coral and sea plants on there. So I really wanted to get this one. And also, I just have been enjoying more literary, I don't know if literary fiction is the right word, but maybe contemporary fiction. And I know this is going to deal with some heavier topics. It says this is an ultimately feel-good but deceptively sensitive debut about what it feels like to have love taken from you only to find it again in the most unexpected places. I love books about grief. I don't know why, but I do. And so I feel like I'm going to really enjoy this one. And I've heard great things about it. This is about a woman who works, does she work here? Yeah, she works at an aquarium and she befriends an octopus, a talking octopus named Marcellus. Next up, I got Lightlark by Alex Astor. You're probably looking at me like, didn't you just say you don't read a lot of fantasy? But when it hits, it hits. So I'm hoping maybe I'll like this one. My friend Jordan really convinced me to pick this one up, so I had to get it. I'm hoping I enjoy it. I don't know a ton about what it's about. I know that some people love it and some people hate it, so I don't really know where I'm going to fall. It says, welcome to the Sentinel. Every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game, where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. To survive, Isla Crown must lie, cheat, betray, even as love complicates everything. Doesn't it always? I love when romance is interweaved in fantasy. I don't like the enemies to lovers trope in anything else but fantasy. Like, give it to me all day in fantasy, but if it's in a regular romance, no thank you. Okay, the next book that I got is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I got this because my friend Wendy really loved this one, and I know a lot of people love it. I've heard things about it that have deterred me from reading it, if I'm being honest, so I don't know if I'm gonna love it or not. But because I read The Bodyguard and I gave it 5 stars, I do want to give this one a chance, and I did get the paperback with the pink sprayed edges, and I'm really excited to have this one. I just know this is a rom-com. Is it a rom-com? It's about this guy who wrote a romantic comedy screenplay and this girl that gets hired to fix it because he wrote it pretty badly. That's all I really know, but hopefully I'll enjoy it. And the last book that I hauled, which brings me to, I forgot to mention 2 books that I wanted to talk about with my recent reads, so I guess now's the opportunity to do so. But I just hauled the 3rd book in the Timeless series by Gabrielle Meyer. This is For a Lifetime. The first book is When the Day Comes, and I have been binging this series. So I read When the Day Comes with my friend Lauren recently, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. If you don't know anything about the series, it is a Christian historical time travel. No, well, it's not time travel. It's like a time... I'll explain it to you in a second. It has to do with time. And it's a book. What am I saying? Do I know how to record videos anymore? Probably not. This is about a girl named Libby, and Libby lives 2 separate lives simultaneously. In one life, she lives in 1774 colonial Williamsburg, and in the other, she lives in 1914 Gilded Age New York City. She has until she is 21 years old to choose what life she wants to live, because once she turns 21, she will have to forfeit one life. She will then die in that life and continue remaining in the other life to live it out to completion. So this is a very interesting concept. It's a very interesting story. I wasn't sure about it because it is very steeped in history. So if you like historical fiction, I highly recommend this series. There is some romance in this, and I do think the romance in this one versus the second one was a lot better in my opinion. I was more invested in it, but there are romances weaved throughout, and I do think you need to start with this book and not just read the books that time period sounds best to you because they are kind of connected. But the end of this one, my jaw was on the floor, y'all. My jaw was on the floor. 4 stars. It was so good. The second book, which was called In This Moment, I believe. I can't tell you much about that one, but that one was also good. Not as good as this one, and I gave it 3 stars. And my next one that I have to read is this one. And I'm very excited because it has one time period that is set during Salem, Massachusetts, particularly during the Salem witch trials. So I'm very excited for this one. And I'm also really hoping to get to the 4th one soon, which is Across the Ages. That seems to be everybody's favorite. And that one has 2 timelines. One is set, I don't know what the timeline is, but it's set around where there's pirates. And I think that sounds fun. And then the other timeline is in the 1920s. So very excited for that one. And really quickly, I'll just show y'all another book that I've read recently that I've really enjoyed that needs to be on your radar if it's not already, is The Golden Goal by Anna Conwell. I buddy read this with my friend Jordan and we both really loved it. I do think we both gave it 4 stars. It is a solid, clean romance. It is very cute. It's a hockey romance. This is the first book in a series. It's the More Than a Game series, but this is not an entirely hockey romance series. Each one has a different guy and a different sport, and the next one is golf, which I'm excited to read that one. But this one is an enemies to lovers, brother's best friend hockey rom-com. And it features our main character, Sutton, and she ends up becoming the physical therapist for the Alabama Rockets hockey team. And her brother's best friend, Shaw, is part of this hockey team. And they've always kind of had this banter back and forth, or bickering back and forth, more or less, where they're very competitive with each other, but he's always kind of had a crush on her, and now this is going to be their chance at love. Now that I'm through all of those, I do want to tell you a couple more books that I've gotten recently that are books that I bought because I was doing a vlog series on my channel where I read books that some of my friends influenced me to buy. And I, again, do not know if I'm going to get to all of these vlogs because I'm very burnt out and I'm very much just like, again, not caring to film. So I just want to tell you all and those friends the books that I bought and why and all the things, just in case these vlogs never see the light of day, because I don't really anticipate filming them anytime soon. The first 2 that I want to talk about are for Lauren and Caitlin. So Lauren convinced me to, she has honestly for forever convinced me to read The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. She loves this book. She loves mysteries. I can trust her taste in reading. Even though it's not always the same as mine, I feel like we could be the same on this one. But I'm also reading this for the Comfy Cozy Book Club, which is hosted by my friend Hannah at the Teachers TBR. This is our June book club pick, and I'm going to be co-hosting along with Hannah and Jules. So I'm really excited to read this, and I think a lot of people really love it. It's going to be turned into a, is it a movie or a TV series? It may be a TV series, but I'm really excited, and I do have the second book on my shelves in case I like this one, then I can continue on. But this would have been Lauren's pick, and then Caitlin's pick was Truth is a Whisper by Mandy Blake. This is a cowboy romance. I have never read a cowboy romance, but I really want to read one, and so Caitlin kind of convinced me to pick this one up. I am a little nervous because it is a little bit more of, I've heard it's cheesy, but then I've also heard it's not. So I don't know how cheesy it is, but I've found my footing in Christian fiction, and this is like a Christian clean cowboy romance. So I think that I will be okay either way. I have found like enough that I'm convinced that they're not all cheesy, but I do hope that I like this one. So we'll see. Then I got a couple of cozies. I don't think this one's cozy necessarily, but it's a mystery. I got First to Die, which is the first in a Women's Murder Club novel by, it's the first in a Women's Murder Club series. I was reading too much. By James Patterson. You could not have told me that I would ever pick up a book by James Patterson because they have never interested me. I've never cared to read them, but here we are. And I got this book because my friend Gabby really loves this series. Like, she reads so many, there's so many books in this series. I think there's like 30 maybe, or almost 30. Maybe there's more than that, but she loves these. So I got this so I could give it a try because she talks about it literally all the time. And then I also got Class Reunions Are Murder by Libby Klein because my friend Jules, this is her favorite cozy mystery of all time. And she always talks about how funny it is and how it's her favorite. And I was like, obviously, if she can't shut up about it, I need to read it. So I also got this one. And then I have a couple of romances. So I have Primetime Romance by Kate Robb, and I got this because my friend Jessie not only read it and really loved it, but she told me that she thought I might like it. It's not a closed door romance. I think there is an open door scene towards the end, so it's not necessarily clean, but every now and then, like for example with Abby Jimenez, I am able to read open door romances as long as it's towards the end or there's just one scene or something that's a little bit more skippable. So I'm really excited about this one. It says a young divorcee finds herself in the ideal world of her favorite 2000s teen soap opera or soap in the second chance whimsical romantic comedy. So I'm excited for this one. I think a lot of the inspiration from this comes from Dawson's Creek, which I didn't watch, but I'm familiar with. But I'm hoping that there's still going to be a lot of nostalgia with this for me, that I can still really enjoy it. And then, so I have read a book from this author before. It's called In 5 Years, and I read it about 5 years ago, and I gave it 5 stars at the time. Though I don't know if I will like anything else by this author because my reading taste changes once a year, basically. So I did get Expiration Dates by Rebecca Serrell, and the reason why is I have been intrigued by this, but Leah Beth really sold me on this one. It is one of her favorite books, and Rebecca Serrell is one of her favorite authors. So I had to pick up Expiration Dates. I don't remember too much about it, and I don't really want to go in knowing a lot, but I think it's about this girl who gets letters every year. Let me see. Okay, so every time Daphne meets a new man, she receives a slip of paper with his name and number on it, the exact amount of time that they will be together. And that's all I want to know, because I'm pretty sure that whatever the last man probably is not going to get a piece of paper. It's not going to have anything on it. That's my assumption, but I don't want to know if he has an expiration date. But it just sounds like a cute concept. So I got that, and that would have been Leah's book. And then the last one is going to be kind of random, but I did pick up This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub because I really like the concept of this book. It's one of those, like, what would my life look like had I made another choice type of book situations. I don't know. And sometimes I really like those. Sometimes they're just okay. But my friend Elise read this for her Libronauts Science Fiction Book Club last year. And I do believe that her co-host Summer may have been the one to pick this. But I still associate this with Elise. I mean, it can be associated with both of them. But either way, for whatever reason, I think they both maybe gave it 4 stars. So it wasn't a 5-star read. But just like the draw to the book, the attention to the book. And I didn't really know a lot about this author or this book before. It made me want to pick it up. So here we are. And those are all the books that I have that I want to read because my friends have convinced me to pick them up. Do I feel like reading any of them anytime soon? I mean, I'm obviously reading the Thursday Murder Club soon. These two are summery feeling to me, so I may read them soon, but I really don't know. I'm not going to force myself to read anything. I'm just doing what I want. So that's why I'm sharing this with you all now. But last but not least, I'm just going to quickly tell you all some books that I'm really looking forward to reading soon, and then I'm going to call it quits because I know I've been talking for a long time, but I hope this has been the update that you all have wanted. So books that I'm looking forward to. I'm really, really looking forward to, what did I do with it? Oh, maybe it's under here. I'm really looking forward to continuing in the Timeless series. I am not so patiently waiting for my Libby hold for the audiobook for this because that's how I've been consuming these, and I highly recommend just listening to the audio for these. It's not confusing. I do think maybe you'll miss some things just with how steeped it is in history, but I don't really care. Like, I just want the point. So I've been listening to the audio, and it's really good. So I'm looking forward to continuing in the series. This is the next book I have to read, and so I'm waiting on the audio to come in soon. I'm also really excited to continue with Catherine Center. I may be reading the rom-commer soon. I don't know. I have a friend who also has this book on her TBR, so maybe we could buddy read it. And then I also may want to read Caraval soon, which so many of you are rolling your eyes at me right now because that was one of the first books I ever added to my TBR, like more than 5 years ago whenever I started watching BookTube. But I'm feeling Caraval. I'm definitely feeling Light Lark. I don't know why, but I just really want to read this. I had been in a minimal like fantasy mood, and I don't know if I'm shifting out of it or not, but if I'm not, I'm going to read Light Lark. I also need to read Courtney Walsh's new book, Everything's Coming Up Rosy. That one comes out in June, but I do have an advanced copy via NetGalley, and so I do need to read that, and I have been loving my Kindle, so I need to read that soon because I think it comes out maybe on June 10th, so hopefully soon. And then also in June, Riley Sager's new book comes out, With a Vengeance, and it is supposed to be reminiscent of or inspired by Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. So I'm very excited to read that. I'm going to be buddy reading that with my friend Hannah because we may or may not be going to see Riley Sager. I'm excited. So anyways, that is really all the update that I have for you all, but I hope that you enjoyed spending this time with me. If you want to let me know down in the comments below what books you have been reading and really loving, just to kind of put some more on my radar. I have been consuming a lot less YouTube content, so I don't really know what everybody's up to. So if I haven't been commenting on your videos, if I haven't been like super active, that's why. It's just because I haven't really been keeping up a lot, and you'll see me online here and there, but a lot of times it's just to check a couple things and get right back off. So I really appreciate you all being patient with me and being here with me. And again, I don't know how often you will be seeing me here, but again, if you do want to keep up with me more often, you can always head over to Instagram and check out what I'm up to there. I'm not posting a lot on Instagram, but I do get in sporadic seasons where I'm like, oh, I read this book and I really loved it, and it's a lot easier for me to sit down and take a photo. Even though you don't get my emotion from a photo like you do in a video, it's just a lot easier for me, and it's a lot less time consuming. So that's what I've been doing. But again, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all so, so much. If you don't have anything else to say in the comments below, but you want to leave a comment for support, you can go ahead and leave a flower emoji down below, and I will see you all potentially in my next video. Bye, friends.